These are the meditations of Kantes. On today's meditation, like, share, subscribe. Now, chosen ones, as you're on your healing journey, you'll realize that in terms of dating or intimate relationships, people, including yourself, you are attracted to the archetype of your parents, your mother, your father. If you're a man, you'll attract a woman who's very closely related, almost identical, especially in spirit, to your mother. If you're a woman, you'll attract a man who's very identical, especially in spirit, to your father. Now, once you heal and you awaken, you're able to sort of change this code, this algorithm, so that you can now start attracting people who match your current new vibration, although it takes time. So for me, I'm looking and reflecting back on, the past when I would attract certain women into my life. And actually because narcissistic women have a very predatory nature. I mean, narcs already do have that. So I would get this, women who, because they are looking through you, that's the nature of a woman, and really even that's the nature of anyone who is a good observer of people. You look into people. So a lot of the women would look into me and they would see the archetype of what I believed about myself, but it was tricky because the spirit and the archetype of the women I would attract would be women who would belittle me, who would try to, magnify some of the insecurities that they thought I might have had. And this was because that was what I was familiar with. Those are the women who are also familiar with me. But the interesting thing about me, and you will share in the comments your own uniqueness, chosen ones, is that I was never ever sexually attracted to those types of women, the types of women who mimicked the spirit of my mother, or the archetype of the spirit of my mother, because it was very abusive, very negative, very promiscuous, very low self-esteem, a lot of self-hate, self-doubt, and that was all I grew up with, was around that type of energy. So of course you're going to attract that. But interesting, I'm looking back on it, I've never ever had any type of sexual relations, to a significant degree. All the relations I had with such types of women were on the surface, because they would come in and I was never drawn to them for some weird reason, even though I was comfortable around them. But that familiarity, in a weird way, bred contempt, because I always never liked the spirit of, the archetype of my mother, because it was very abusive, very emotionally abusive. So I was very disgusted by it, but still familiar with it. And that's what you'll find, chosen ones, is that, as you know, and this is before I even understood all these things, but I could not, attract any other type of women because I had not changed myself. Because remember, these women, the world really looks into who you are and gives you back what you give it. So because I was, low self-esteem, low confidence, a lot of self-doubt, any woman there would be women who would come and try and be positive around me, but I was drawn to them sexually, but they were not familiar. They were almost repulsive, but I felt that I should be with these women. So, chosen ones, in essence, as I share that story, you need to heal inside so that you can attract the type of people that you want. You need to find out the archetype of your parents, most especially, so that you can understand whether you want that type of person or you want another person, another more positive, upright, not upright in a righteous type of form, but someone who's identical to what you believe about yourself, because currently, as most of you chosen ones are aware, you have a very high self-estimation right now. Okay, you have a very high self-estimation. So those are the type of people who you'll attract, people who add on to this high self-estimation, high confidence. It's people who can handle that. The archetype that I had, now that I'm healed, they are very repulsive to me, even though, because I'm still in the early parts of my journey, even though I encounter them in a sense, they immediately sense that it's almost like a dead battery. There's nothing for them here, because they have an abusive nature. Even though they're very attractive or very there's no charge, you know, there's no charge that can ignite our interaction, because I have a very different self perception. So, chosen ones, you know, I'd like to hear your own stories in the comments. Make sure you change your inner self. Make sure you change and you investigate your entire, you know, the entire history of your childhood, the entire history of your parents and how they were, so that you will attract better relationships. People who now mimic the new you, the new version of yourself. And this is work that takes a long time, but just you acknowledging, you know, the archetypes of your parents it's like half the job done, because now you understand, okay, I don't want that, what do I need to do to, then you can be able to see it. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, share, subscribe. Adios.